Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. And we are going to be getting into a lot of news and information for you here tonight on the show. Tuesday, October the 18th into Wednesday, October the 19th, 2011. Thank you so much for being with us here. And we've got a lot of news to get into, and we also have some emails, a lot of emails we're going to get into here tonight as well. Don't know if we're going to have time to do any reading. I think we're on tablet number 8 of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I don't know if we're going to have any time to read from that tonight, but we certainly will be getting back into that on the next show. I am going to be probably doing less shows in the next few weeks. I really would like to just not do any for the next few weeks and get work on the film and get done, but I'm trying to get a balance between that to make everybody happy. And then one thing I've learned in life, you can't make everybody happy all the time. That's a very tough thing to do. So I think the majority consensus from the emails that I've gotten is said, go ahead and just do fewer shows and get the film done. That's what I want to do. But so yesterday I didn't do a show for that reason. I was working on computer stuff. We got the new Mac. So I was working on getting software and stuff. I was actually able to get the RAM upgrades that I needed, and got a Blu-ray burner as well. So we're going to be releasing The Secret Rite Volume 2 both in regular DVD format, and I'm happy to announce we're also going to be releasing that in Blu-ray format as well, which is just going to be super high definition, and it's going to look fucking amazing. It's going to come across, the best way it can. It's going to look, it's going to be able to compete in the market, I think, and that's what I've been trying to do. It's amazing. I mean, I've already gotten all my files transferred, and I've already been doing some. Final Cut Pro's just been amazing. I mean, it's no brainer for me. It's easy action. I thought there'd be a learning curve jumping over to this Mac. Not at all. It's amazing. I mean, all it is just the productivity's gone up. The look of everything it's insane. It really is insane. The look of everything just immediately, the quality of everything's just gone, just shot through the roof. It just the quality of everything that I can do already. I mean, you can hear it in my voice, man. I'm so excited about this. This is more excited I've been about anything since I've been doing this show and doing this work. I'm totally pumped up about this because the quality of everything's just going through the roof. And finally, we're going to be able to match what I believe to be the quality of our information, especially concerning The Secret Rite. Now, bear in mind, I'm going to clarify something to people out there. Bear in mind, this volume 2 of this movie is going to deal less with the group itself of the Council for National Policy. The Secret Rite pretty much embodies. It doesn't just embody the Council for National Policy. It embodies a much larger than that. But I think because other people out there, which is good, I'm not complaining, have taken kind of sort of the ball of the whole CMP thing and kind of ran with it. I think that some of that has foreshadowed the much larger grand scope issue of this. And so the questions that I answer in this film are, is the biggest question that I've had since I've been talking about the Council for National Policy and the whole Secret Rite thing. and really probably the biggest question I had when I initially found out about the group too, which was, okay, you know, here they are. We in Secret Right Volume 1, we saw what they are, we saw what they're doing, who they are. But in this one, you know, and the biggest question I had is, why should we be concerned with it? You know, okay, they're there. So in this one, we're going to answer all those questions about that you'll have about why you should be concerned with them. And I think that even the most staunchest of skeptics so far about this information are going to come around after seeing this film. I believe that. I believe that 100%. 100%. I believe that with all of my being. I think that there's going to be a lot of people who have had a knee-jerk reaction to this stuff before. They aren't going to have that anymore. Hands down. And so I'm glad we're going to be able to get that information across in the way. So I want to thank everybody out there again for who has supported us and helped us reach for the goal to be able to do this. And it's awesome that we're going to be able to do that in Blu-ray as well. So, and by the way, everybody who pre-ordered the Secret Volume 1, you're going to get your choice. Pre-orders are now over. You don't have ability to be able to buy any more copies of the DVD from me until after I have them and it's done and I have them in my hand. But all the people that have pre-ordered them, you're going to get your choice. You're going to get your choice for what you pre-ordered. It's the same price, because obviously it's going to be more once we start selling them out to the general public. It's obviously going to be more for the Blu-ray. But you know what's amazing? It's really not that much more. It's all the technology's come down, and that was, I mean, I remember paying like $300 back in like 2005 for a gig of RAM, like $300, dude. I paid like $250 for 4 gigs of RAM for my old computer in 2008. Last night I went to, by the way, the Lurkin Granny, one of our listeners who's been sending emails to come to the chat room, Lurkin Granny. She said she heard me talking about railing on Best Buy last week. Oh, by the way, karma's a bitch. Best Buy sales at risk as surgical shoppers lose impulse. Yeah, the story today. Yeah, they're losing their ass. But Lurkin Granny sent me a message in the chat room saying, hey, you should go check out Micro Center in Richardson, which is a suburb of Dallas. And I indeed did go there, Lurkin Granny, when I was shopping for my Mac. But that's the only reason I went to Bust Buy. That's what I call it now, Bust Buy. The only reason I went to Bust Buy was because they were, for some goddamn reason, $75 to $100 cheaper on all their Macs than either the Mac stores that are here in Dallas or direct from Mac or from anywhere else. So that's why I went that route, and Micro Center as well. But I went to Micro Center and got the upgrades because we got another donation over the weekend. So thank you to our person there who donated over the weekend. You know who you are. Thank you so much. I was able to get a 16 gig RAM upgrade for this Mac for $149. Is that fucking ridiculous or what? Dude, I paid like $300 for a gig 2005. $249 for 2 gigs or 4 gigs in 2008. And now 16 gigs for this Mac was $149, and it was $129 for a Blu-ray burner that's external. And I remember like a month ago seeing prices on the blank media Blu-rays. They were like $10 a disc. They had on that Micro Center for 10 for $10. I'm like, I mean, it's insane how this technology is exponentiating. I mean, it is exponentiating at a rate where even the consumer stuff is exponentiating at a super fast rate. I mean, it is just insane how fast it's going. And one thing I noticed about doing the video encoding now, it's funny, the video encoding is still the same speed. It still takes the same amount of time for me as it did before. So the time is the same when it comes to video encoding, doing clips and all that. But the time that's elapsing, even though it's the same, the encoding that's being done is happening at a much, much advanced and higher bit rate. So the end result of that is that it's still taking the same amount of time it was on the old computer, except the output of that final result, even though it's taking the same amount of time, is actually much higher and much noticeably higher, to the point where, I mean, it looks like movie. It looks like TV. It's amazing. That with the camera that we got, it's unbelievable how good it looks. I'm so excited to be able to produce a quality product now with the information. I'm going to be knocking out all kinds of stuff as soon as that's why I want to do fewer shows over the next few weeks and just get this movie done, because I'm so excited to move on to other things now. You know what I mean? I'm so excited to start cranking out a bunch of stuff. I plan on cranking out Secret Right Volume 2 and then cranking out another film project, a smaller one, before the end of the year, and then get started on the rock wall thing. But I'm just not a big project, just a small project, like a compilation thing, or maybe pulling together all the stuff from the Reality of Illusion series or something like, something small that's going to maybe like a web only release, nothing that's going to be one of these crazy, insane, big, huge releases like the Secret Right 2 or the rock wall film or anything like that's going to be. Just because I've just inspired. And I've got so many more things to put out there, and I've been blown away by the amount of sheer amount of people that I've been being contacted by lately who've been coming to listen to the show. It's funny because we don't get that many live listeners. We don't get that many live because I just start the show when I want to, and once the time changes again, we're going to go back to doing the show at midnight Central Time every night. So that's coming up next month in November. So mark your calendars for that. But our live listeners will go up there. But I've never really cared about numbers and all that. But it's amazing the YouTube numbers that a couple people out there are getting from. I mean, there are a couple people out there who have their YouTube channels that are dedicated to posting my stuff, which is just amazing. I love those guys. Those guys are fucking heroes. There's also the heroes out there who work at slave jobs, and are now being able to get through their days feeling better about their slave jobs and doing that because now they realize that, hey, they make a donation to my show or whatever. They see the result. They see what comes out. And, they're realizing their role, as we've talked about here before. Everybody, that's all it's going to take is everybody finding their role in this. How many of those people that are down there at the phony Occupy whatever Wall Street protests, how many of those people down there you think really know their role in all this? Very few, if any, I would say. That's just my opinion, but I'm not going to say there's not any. Certainly there are some. Many probably believing that that's all they can do and that's all they have left. But I think, I think the people, I want to salute the people out there who, are actually having a role in this and are not getting led down these phony paths by these phony revolutionaries and these phony movements and these things. Because the thing about it is, you will know. No one will have to tell you. You will know with every fiber of your body when it's go time. It won't be on the TV. It won't be on the, teleprompter. It won't be on the monitor at Hot Topic. It won't be announced. You'll just, when it's go time, whatever that entails, I don't mean armed conflict for, go time for armed conflict or go time for, revolution or whatever. I just mean, it's undefined at this point. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that myself or anybody else, personally, from my research, has any ability. Everybody always wants to know what the end game is. Everybody wants to know, and I think we can hint at it. But really what it's going to be and really what it entails, none of us know yet. And I think anybody that claims to, I would be suspect of them. It's one thing to say, my speculation in the end game is going to be this, but really the honest to God truth of it is that none of us have the ability to know because, and why do I believe that? Well, because that's where the research is taken. That's what it shows me. If historically, when you look at this, you have to look at it from that angle. Historically, it's very difficult because what you're going to have is the same thing that's already happening, which is a modified version of the world that we already exist in that would seem foreign to someone who lived, say, 50, 100 years ago. And we're seeing that type of thing happen. And it used to happen every 50, 100 years or so. But now the world is changing the face every couple of years now. It's becoming a different world. That is the time that we are at now. But there are a lot of people out there who don't have a role in this. And I just appreciate those people who have, decided to not take marching orders from anyone. Just say, hey, I can do this. Man Hydra, our webmaster, puts all the archives up and stays up late and waits for my ass to get done with the fucking show at 4 o'clock in the goddamn morning and puts the archives up and to do all his work, and people who make the YouTube videos, people who work jobs and donate to us. I all you guys, but it's that thing of, not waiting for somebody to, delineate orders to you. You know what I mean? And that's, to me, that's the biggest step, is the fact that you made a decision, just like when I made a decision to do this show. I started doing all this stuff, and I knew that it was, the only way I was ever going to be able to do it in the right way was to dedicate myself to it fully. If my energies were getting pulled, and that's where a lot of people mess up. That's why a lot of people aren't successful at things, because they let side things pull them away from what they should be what focusing all their energy on. And I knew that if I was ever going to do this right, that's why I worked in a fucking pizza place for 4 years until I could do this, and that's the whole thing is that when your energies are getting pulled into work from working into a pizza place, or your energy is getting pulled from, going to your slave job or whatever have you, by the time you get done with your slave job, you don't want to come home and fucking spend 10 or 12 hours in front of a computer researching and reading, going through documents and going through histories and looking at stuff and ancient texts. And you want to fucking chill out and have a beer and sit on the couch, maybe play some video games, watch some fucking mindless TV, zone out and relax and not talk to anybody or do anything. You don't want to come home and, let's come home and dive into some research after fucking 12 hours of flipping burgers when 2 people called in sick and the manager's on fucking meth. Yeah, that's fun. So that's, that's the whole thing is that oftentimes in life, we think that we're supermen or superwomen or whoever, and we think that we can, have a million fucking irons in the fire. But sometimes we have to narrow those down to just a few things. And when you focus those on one thing, so you don't have your energies being pulled in different directions, you can make that one thing great. And I see people do that all the time. They just, they start thinking, oh, yeah, well, I'm already doing this and I'm having success at it, so I can do this over here too, and wow, yeah, I can do everything. And then, if you want something to be a success, you have to pour all of your energy into that thing, and you can't have it strewn away and taken away by other things and people and other situations and other jobs or other whatever. You have to be dedicated to it like a laser beam. And I think that for me, the reward for me has been that I've learned patience more than I ever had patience in my whole life since I've been doing this. And that good things will come to you if you just do the work, be real about it, and make the best with what you have available to you, And you just be patient, and you don't get frustrated. You just keep at it and keep at it. And I think more and more, I'm starting to see positive results in that direction. I think more and more I'm going to start to see that because, again, it's just you just have to want to do it. Nobody told me, you're going to be a radio host and you're going to do this and you're going to do that and blah blah blah. Because if they had, I would have said, "Fuck you, I'm not doing that." Because that's what I say to most people when they say shit like that to me, But I just was kind of talking about it. My brother was like, "You should do your own show," and I was like, "Yeah, I should do my own show." Okay, even though I didn't fucking know first thing about it, I had no business doing it. I had no real thing about it. But that's the whole thing that I get. I see people making all these comments on some of these YouTube videos that people have posted. And by the way, if you've posted some of those comments, if it's not on the Global Reality Channel, it's on 1776's back or Global Reality followers page or whatever it is. If you leave comments on those videos, oftentimes, and they're directed at me, unless I go and look at the videos, and I really only did for the first time yesterday, chances are I'm not going to see that message. So you might as well email any comments you have, good, bad, or otherwise, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. But I did see quite a few messages and stuff on those videos where people were, and it seemed like, it kind of seemed like plant type people, because it seemed like they were, well, I saw 2 or 3 different sign-in names that basically had copied and pasted their response. And I've heard of this happening on news articles and things of that nature and seen it happen. It'll be some person who's trying to push their point of view with an agenda. So they'll post it 7 or 8 times within the comments of an article. And when you go and look, it'll be 7 or 8 different sign-in names, but it'll be an identical word for word copy and paste response that you see on 7 or 8 different posts. But the biggest one, when I was reading Lost Book of Enki, people were saying that I was crude and I was disrespectful to the information, and all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And I sounded like a child, and I was being, sophomoric and all this stuff. And that I say guilty as charged. Yeah, I was. Give me a fucking break. Do you think that I was doing that without intent? Do you think that just came out that way by accident? No, I was doing that with intent. Did you not get the memo? You didn't get that memo. There's a memo that's been going around the Global Reality for 4 years now, and it's this: I don't give a fuck. That's it. That's the memo. But really, look, when I first started in this, Mike Chambers was the guy that gave me my first show. The first thing he told me was, don't say any of the Carlin words, which we've broken here a million times. I'm proud to say. And the other was, be informative as well as be entertaining as well. And I believe in that. I believe it is important to be. I'm not gonna. What any pudwhacker can get on a microphone and just read. Oh, and they didn't like my comments either. That was the other thing. It wasn't just the fact that I was cussing or making jokes. They didn't like my commentary. That I shouldn't talk. I should just read it, and that should be it. Well, that's a little fucking boring if you ask me, and defeats the whole purpose of why I wanted to read it in the first place. If I'm just going to read it and record it and not say anything, I want to get paid for doing a book on tape from the publishing company. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm doing here. That's not why I'm doing this. It's my show. It's my opinion. If you don't like it, hey, don't have to listen. But throwing a fit and getting all your pennies in a bunch because you didn't like the fact that I interjected my own thoughts and comments in there. Well, again, nobody's forcing you to listen. And obviously there must be something in there that you liked. Otherwise you wouldn't have taken most of them. I don't take time to comment on things that I'm not into or don't like. Problem is, a lot of people just get real butthurt sometimes when, which is just stupid. If they've been onto something for a long time and then somebody else gets onto something and they make a bigger thing out of it and get more attention from it, then they get butthurt. It's sad, but that's the way it is. But we've got quite a bit of news for you here tonight. We've also got emails. Let's just start from the top of the email stack tonight. It's from Serge. Hey, Josh, I don't want to cut into your valuable time in finalizing the See Right 2 film. I just want to know if you're aware of UN Agenda 21. Lots of good stuff on YouTube about it. I've also tried to post YouTube videos on my Facebook the last few days. I do believe Facebook is barring me from posting these videos. They've barred me from making comments about certain things on truth-related things. Somebody will post something, and I'll post a response as, hey, blah, 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 did you know this? And they'll say, we're unable to post your comment. No kidding. If you are aware of Agenda 21, please share with you. Yeah, I'm aware of Agenda 21. But I'm honestly, Serge, it's one of those issues that has been covered ad nauseum. It's been covered way more thoroughly And I think everything you need to know about it is out there. And all you have to do is Google search Agenda 21. I went to a Freedom 21 conferencing, had a bunch of these CMP types at it a few years ago. Shot some of the footage. It's in Cigarette Volume 1 there. And that was one of their big things, was Agenda 21, but they were peppering it with all these propaganda lies. Like they have this guy, I can't remember his name. He was a cocksucker from the John Birch Society, a fucking Jesuit. And what's his nuts? John Scatmiller from RBN was just kissing his ass, dude. Just licking his balls. I mean, he had his tongue all up in there. This is the kind of guy we want for our radio network. That was about like 2 weeks after he fired me. But I didn't even know I was there. Because I don't really think he knew what I looked like. I got a picture of his ass standing next to a no smoking sign, smoking outside. That was pretty epic. But this guy from the John Birch Society was saying, yes, Agenda 21 is real. Yes, this. And then the reason it is because all of the Rockefellers are Gaia worshipers. And they worship the earth, and they worship, said they're secular humanists that worship the earth and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, why don't you tell them about how, you're sitting there railing on the Rockefellers. How about Nelson Rockefeller buying the Welsh Candy Company that Robert Welsh used to set up the John Birch Society with? How about that? So, yeah, Serge, Agenda 21, not really the show for that issue. Plenty of other information out there on that. Not saying it's not an important topic. It certainly is. But one that I think is not really one that we talk about a lot here. Let's see what else we have here. This is from James. He says, hi, Josh. First of all, I would like to say that I think what you do is amazing, and I hope your audience continues to grow and you get the message out. Thank you. I'm writing this email from Scotland. So you are definitely getting the message out. Well, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Scotland. Okay. I don't know if I've heard from anyone in Scotland yet. I have heard from some listeners in Ireland, Wales, all over the place, all over England, all over Australia, New Zealand. But Scotland, yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, the reason I'm writing this is maybe a suggestion, or maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. I recently listened to an audio book, The Lost Book of Enki, Memories of Prophet. Oh, this guy doesn't even know I have a radio show, I don't think. I need to personally email this guy back, because he's probably not even going to hear me read this. I don't think, I'm judging by reading this, I don't think he knows I have a radio show. I think he's just heard that happens sometimes. I recently listened to an audiobook, The Lost Book of Enki, Memories of Prophecies of Extraterrestrial God, read by Josh Reeves. I actually read the book before, but your take on it was out of this world. Pardon the pun. I don't know if you put this out yourself or if it was done by one of your dedicated listeners, but I was hoping if it was done by yourself that you have put out other books. And if so, could you share the titles with me and where I can obtain them? I hope to hear back from you, and keep fighting the good fight, mate. Much respect, James. Okay, I need to probably email him, because it doesn't sound like he knows about the radio show. Because if he did, then he wouldn't be asking where those came from. He'd know those were taken from the show. But to answer his question, and I'll email him anyway, somebody else might have that question out there too. Best thing you do is you can go to archive.org, type in my name, Josh Reeves, Global Reality. There's lots of archives there. There's Finding of the Third Eye, the complete series of me reading that. I think that was the first full book I ever read on air. It's up there a couple of years ago, 2008, I think that was a while ago. 2008, yeah, 2008. That one's up there. We've got also on YouTube, there is the William Bramley, Gods of Eden. And it's been collected into some mega broadcast links. That's up there. Also, the Lost Book of Enki, and now the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So those are all up there. Check on YouTube, but I'll send this guy a message just in case he's not. It doesn't sound like he knows about the show. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, you guys hear about Dan Weldon over the weekend, the race car driver? Yeah, 33 years old. Died on lap 13. Pretty interesting. He and his wife got each other's initials the night before. That was interesting. It was in the video clip. It was kind of interesting because we just had that air show crash in Reno not too long ago. For this to happen there in Las Vegas right after that. What's interesting is they were talking about Dan Weldon right before the wreck happened, and they actually had a camera inside of his car, and they were had live video footage coming from his car, and it looked like part of a car like exploded or something, and then right when his car hit, they cut the video there. But it was just interesting to me that they happened to be saying his name on the screen and showing from his car right before it happened. And I found it interesting too that, you know, most of these guys that are these drivers, they come from families of money. They're, you know, they've been in this stuff for years and years and years, and they're intricately tied. A lot of them are tied in, you know, they're tied into the Italian mob and all that stuff. Most of these guys come from big money families. Well, Weldon didn't come from a big money family. Basically, the Andretti's hired him on and didn't expect him to win, and he won the Indy 500. And it just seems to me that he's one of those guys that, you know, he's been winning, but he's, he's looked at like a goy or something, as the Jews call him, as they call us. It's, he's not one of the big, he's not in the big boys club. He's not in the bloodline. He's not in the, in the rich kids club. This is just a guy who basically got people to give him a break and got into racing, and he was good. So very well could have been. I mean, there were some definite strange things about this. Could have been a hit. I don't know for sure, but definitely some interesting symbology there. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Ron Paul raised $8.2 million in the third quarter. Just rampant ignorance. Don't even know what to say. I hear you. You're having a big money bomb for them tomorrow. Please, for the love of God, do not participate in the Ron Paul money bomb tomorrow, please. I mean, if you absolutely have to throw your money down the fucking shitter, send it somewhere like my show or somewhere else where you know it's going to get put into good use. But I'm happy to say we don't have any. We actually got in, since we got a donation over the weekend, or the past couple of days, we're actually got the screen bill paid and everything, so we don't have any bills due for 2 weeks. Anything, till the 1st, we don't have anything else due, which is just fantastic. So, but they're going to take your money and run yet again, and probably tell you they were running a. We never got into this to win. We're running an educational campaign. Yes. Oh man. That's all right. This stuff's all happening and I think that the film's going to be coming out at a great time. We're seeing a lot of people reveal themselves over the coming weeks and months, I believe, in all realms and all places. This is from Gord. He says, "Hi, Josh. During the last broadcast, I thought you mentioned something about the what is to come." Yeah, I was answering another email, actually, when I brought that. I wasn't just bringing that up randomly or anything. About the what is to come in the future, and that involves some type of battle between the malevolent priest class and benevolent beings, that the final and ultimate conflict may really be what goes on between them. Are you talking about a spiritual war, or do you think it might be more along the lines of a battle of magic or wizardry between these forces? I mean, well, that's one and the same, my friend. The spiritual warfare, it involves the use of magic and wizardry and all that. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. Magic is nothing but the knowledge of being able to manipulate realms of energies and frequencies and vibrations that exist in dimensions and planes that are all around us at all times, but not apparent to us through our carbon-based computer system that we call a meat suit. So, yeah, I mean, and look, with me or anybody else, when you ask me or anybody else what the end game is or what the final thing is going to be, look, I mean, it's jazz, man. You know what I mean? We're just playing jazz up here when you ask us that question. I mean, we don't really know for sure. We're just fucking throwing shit out there and improvising and hitting notes and seeing what hits and seeing what it doesn't. I mean, all of us, myself included. I'll tell you my opinion. That doesn't mean it's 100% set in stone going to happen. I mean, I heard Alex Jones have a clip. I'll try to get it in the Secret Right Volume 2 if I can find a space for it. But I have a clip of Alex Jones saying that beyond any shadow of a doubt, in the year 2020, artificially intelligent AI supercomputer robots are going to drop neutron bombs on every major city in the world and kill all of us. And he said, just like I told you 9/11 was going to happen before, I'm telling you this is going to happen beyond any shadow of a doubt. No ifs, ands, or buts. No possibility. This is going to happen for sure. 2020, AI robots are going to drop neutron bombs in every major city. Alex Jones. He said that. And to me, I think, you know, if he was going to say one possible scenario that they could play out could be, you know, they may have AI supercomputer. Yeah, that's a possibility. One of many. But to say that that's absolutely going to happen, or for me to say absolutely it's going to be, you know, the spiritual warfare thing. No, I mean, you know, don't take that as absolute, the absolute gospel, man. All I can tell you is what I see based on my research and based on the various possibilities that we see things going, where they're escalating to. And that's one of them. So, I got asked a question from the email. And when you ask me a question, I always try to give you the most honest answer I can give you based on what I know and everything. But, you know, and that's what I did in that case. I wasn't saying that was an absolute fact that that's how it's going to go down. I was just saying that, in my opinion, that's how I see it playing out and how I see it progressing based on what we've seen hinted at in the culture and the media and the movies. I mean, we've seen all kinds of stuff in movies where they're hinting about, you know, the conflict between science and religion and the merging of that. And that's what Scientology, I think that's why we're seeing all this alien stuff, because Scientology is the perfect merging of that. Scientology, for the longest time, to me, in my opinion, has been the number one candidate. They'll probably be flagging my websites and shit for saying this now, but I don't give a fuck. In my opinion, and I felt this way for quite some time, Scientology is the number one candidate to be the global world religion. Why? Because it is the perfect melding of scientific knowledge, scientific studies, and religion. Because of the whole story with, you know, Xenu and that whole thing. And I think that's how they're going to sell it, and how they're going to reconcile it, and how they're going to roll out extraterrestrials and the knowledge of that, and how they're going to bring down religion. By saying that, and I've seen people try to equate and try to do that. And for me, I don't think there's any similarities at all, but I have seen people try to sort of equate the whole Xenu stuff and Scientology stuff with the Anunnaki thing. And I think that's dangerous. I think that's very dangerous. And I think that's the stage they're moving to, in my opinion. In order to get a total controlled system where people aren't asking questions anymore and all the answers are given, albeit given by the state and official answers, they want to quash anybody asking questions anymore. I don't think that's what this controlled disclosure stuff is all about. I apologize in advance if I misunderstood you. I have not had time to go back and re-listen to the whole broadcast, find out where this segment came up. Okay, Gord, no problem. I was just trying to give an honest answer to an honest question, and like I said, you know, oh, you talking about Jones? MJ sent me a message and said it was the way he said it. The way Jones said it, that thing about the neutron. But yeah, he did. Yeah, he did say that in a very ominous, sort of strange tone and sound and way, didn't he, MJ? Yeah, you've obviously heard that clip too. No, it's strange that you said that, because I was just thinking that in my head when I was talking about that a minute ago. This is from Sean. He says, "Hey, Josh, about 2 or 3 months ago, I started noticing more and more videos being put out by Alex Jones on YouTube, and it's gotten to the point where now it seems no matter what search term I put in there, there is always some video of his popping up immediately. Yeah, I've been talking about him doing that for a long time. That's been his play. I've seen he's been doing that with. He started doing that with. Now I haven't noticed him doing that with YouTube videos, and obviously you have. And I think thanks for bringing it to my attention. But I'll tell you how I know that you're probably 100% correct about that. Is the fact that I already seen him doing that on web pages and articles. He started doing that. He's been doing that with articles for the past 10 years. And that's how most people find and get into Alex Jones. They start researching topics. And this is the whole point and play of this guy. I mean, this is one of the essential things about the Alex Jones op right there. You nailed it, Sean. I'm glad you noticed that about the YouTube videos. No, that's key. That is very key. Listen up. Put your ears on. This is very important. Again, this is not little petty hate stuff. And I mean, this is real honest to God questions and problems we have with the stuff about this guy. I've noticed that for years. And that's how most people get into it. They start researching a question or a topic, and boom, inevitably, most of the things they start finding on the topics that they're looking up, especially if you type New World Order or something like that, most all the time, something inevitably leads back to Jones. And that's why I've felt the need that to get more people to throw their hat in the ring. That's why I felt the need to try and get my stuff to get a much more professional look to it. Sean, one of our listeners and supporters, I'm not Sean, Scott. Sean, who wrote the email. Scott, one of our listeners and supporters, when he had the email a couple weeks ago with suggestions, for the show and all that stuff, was talking about speeding up the rate of putting things out. That's another thing, yeah. And you're 100% right, Sean. Absolutely, Alex Jones has done that, and I think that's with intent. That way, if you're looking up these things, you find him, which means you're going to find his advertisers on his site. You're going to drive traffic to his site, and he's making his stuff a catch-all for all information. And then, with inside of that framework, he's also able to create this web and this net where if you go and you do a search on a piece of information and you don't find something with Alex Jones connected to it or talking about it, then it gets built up in the head of the Alex Jones follower that information must not be as credible as some of this other information, because if it was credible, as big and as overwhelming as it may seem, it must not be real. Otherwise, you would have already heard Alex Jones talking about it. That's another part of the operation. And then the people that fall into that actually believe that. Because the first thing that led them to Alex Jones was their first initial looking up these topics. And he's had total saturation, and he's done that for multiple reasons. To drive, number one, to drive up people towards his slant and towards the things that he wants people to see, and also to drive up advertising. He says it's gotten to the point now where it seems like no matter what the search term is, I put in, there's some video of him popping up immediately. It's so fucking annoying. I ended up watching one of these videos he put out the other day. He started talking about how YouTube was trying to shut him down and he needed everyone's support. Then out of nowhere, he started yelling and snarling. It was very strange. God, that guy is a fucking horrible actor. Just thought you would find that amusing. By the way, is Bob Chapman part of the CMP, or is he just some shameless self-promoter? I don't really honestly know, dude. Yeah, he doesn't seem like, I don't think he's a CMP member. He just seems like maybe a huckster. Yeah. Self-promoter. Somebody who wants to sell products to me. A lot of those, Here's one from George. George says, hey, Josh, I completely believe in reincarnation, not that something as simple as deja vu proves it. It just makes sense. No one would give a fuck about obeying laws, man-made or otherwise, if they didn't think that they were going to be judged after a single lifetime and then sent to a heaven or a hell. Anyway, My question is, when we reincarnate, is it possible that we change gender? I'm not feeling gay or transvestite. Well, that's good, George. Just wondering if that would be possible based on what you've read or heard. I would prefer to remain in male form if at all possible, and for a slew of reasons, not the least of which is the monthly thing. Take care, George. And a follow-up, he says, another quick one for you. Are the archons and the macrobes the same thing? I talked about that a couple of weeks ago, George. Did you not hear that show that night? I said I believe they could be, but I don't know for sure. And that's my answer stands at that. I don't know. It could be from the stuff I've read. I said, they definitely sound similar. So they very well could be the same thing, but I don't know for sure, but I want to say, yeah, I think it could be. And as far as the other thing too, I think I answered that not too long ago as well. Maybe last week before, I can't remember, the whole reincarnation thing and changing gender. Yeah, absolutely. The one of the sciences that the Freemasons and the priest class know about, the highest levels, the mystery religions, this has gone back, they've known this for thousands of years, is they have the ability to be able to track. Not only do they know how to transcend the death of the body, they know about the transmigration of souls, and they have figured out how to teach someone how to be conscious about what their next incarnation is. And they were also able to track people through different incarnations. And they do this through the bloodlines. And sometimes it's not done through the bloodlines, but they are able to tell. They have some system. I don't know what that system is. One of their secrets. And they can determine based on your astrology, numbers, that whole system in science, and based on the numbers and the star charts and astrology of the deceased person before, they're able to figure out, down to a T, where this next person's going to incarnate at. And that's why I always wondered about these different incarnations of people. Well, like we've seen the families do this over and over again. The Rockefellers, very apparent there. They're aware of that. But as I talked about this Masonic Lodge in Guthrie, Oklahoma, where, it was designed, the whole thing was designed. He was telling you on the tour that this whole thing was designed by a woman, and I'm sitting there going, there's no way. Because women were not allowed to that sacred mathematics and those secret teachings that are all up in that building. There's no way a woman could have designed that building and not had access to the sacred mathematics and the sacred formulas of the stonemasons. There's just no way possible. And I asked the guy that was the mason on the tour, hey, I'm interested because you said this was a woman that designed this place, and you guys are Freemasons. You got to have the blueprints of this place. He goes, yeah, we do. They're in the basement. It's not on the tour. Follow me. And he took us down to the basement that wasn't on the tour, where they had all the Masonic swords and all that shit in there, and get-ups and costumes. Insane. And sure enough, there in the glass case, they had the blueprints, and they had the woman's signature on it. And that's when I didn't say it out loud, because I didn't want the guy to, say I knew too much and take me to the fucking gimp closet or something, or whatever the fuck it is they do. Yeah, I definitely had the opinion. I was like, well, they had to have known. If it's true that the Freemasons and the Rosicrucian secret is the secret to immortality and the secret to be able to, the transmigration of souls and being able to consciously incarnate and have people be able to track that into the next, from incarnation to incarnation, then I believe that they knew this woman was an incarnation who's now incarnating in a female body who was probably in a male body previously. And because of their knowledge and their system of charts and tracking all this stuff, why do you think it is that the Mormon Church has the most extensive genealogical records on the planet, ladies and gentlemen? You understand the Mormon Church was set up as a front to practice Freemasonry in secret when it was outlawed in the United States, right? You know that Joseph Smith and Brigham Young are part of the Merovingian bloodline. Charles Hayes Russell as well, that set up the Watchtower Society. Yeah, they go back to the 12 Hebrew tribes, baby. Back to the Levites. That's where it comes from. They go all the way back to the ancient knowledge, goes all the way back to the Levites. And that is why the Mormons do these baptism of the dead things. That's why they have the extensive genealogical records. It's so they can track people from incarnation to incarnation. And they do it under the front of the Mormon church and a Christian organization and all this stuff. But that's what it is. So I hope that helps, George. And that's, that's not something a lot of people are going to tell you, but that's from my years of research, the truth. And I see comments I saw a comment on a YouTube video, where I was saying that some of that stuff, and Masons all the time. Oh, you'd make a fine brother. You'd make a great brother. Them motherfuckers have tried to recruit me so many times. Because I've actually had a Freemason tell me that I know more about Freemasonry than most of the brothers that are in Freemasonry, which is pretty sad, actually, because, if it's that easy to figure out all of their what they've done, it's not easy, but it takes a little research, a little work. It's not really some big secret thing. The website where this broadcast originates from, I didn't plug this at the beginning of the show tonight, www.theglobalreality.com. That's www.theglobalreality.com. That's all the emails we have for tonight. I want to thank everybody who sent in emails. If you would like to send in an email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. And love to have emails from people. I'll try to do my best to read them on air. And we're going to take a break, come back, and then we got a big... All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Yeah, it's absolutely true. People are having a conversation in the chat room at theglobalreality.com. There's a chat room there. People are hanging out, talking in there, even this late, early, however you want to look at it. And so thanks to everybody in the chat room staying up late and hanging out and making it a lively one in there tonight. Good conversation in there going on as usual. Usually always good combos going on in there doing the show. And we're talking Guyman and John Doe, and they're talking about DJ too as well. They're talking about Masons, and yeah, dude, cock and balls. It's so straight up like all their Masonic passwords all have to do with like cock and balls. No kidding. Maha Bone and Tubal Cain, Tublacan, fucking Rush Xanadu or some shit, dude, or whatever. Decreed within the pleasure dome. Decreed by Kubla Khan, Tubal Cain. Oh man, yeah, the old two-ball cane. Yeah, the shaft is up the little top of the little balls are. It's a little short when they're... Yeah, man, they're obsessed with it. They have the Masonic nut aprons of Jobulon to wipe off the stuff after they get done. That's good stuff. Anyway, back here with you on the show. So glad you could be with us here tonight. We're going to plow through some fucking news here in a rapid rate for you tonight. TheGlobalReality.com. Again, it's my website. We have a chip-in banner there for the month for the bills. We don't have any bills due now until the first of the month. That's so awesome. Thanks to everybody out there for supporting us. We don't have any sponsors yet. Like to have some. Working on trying to get some. So everything we get comes in from our listening audience out there. And so we don't have commercials. We don't have banner ads, any of that stuff. All comes from the support of our listening audience. So please use the chip-in banner there. Donate button if you want to donate other amounts to our work. That's how you do it. And boy, we've already had some people make a big difference for us recently here with some of the new equipment we've gotten. And again, I'm just totally excited. I'm just torn because I know everybody wants live shows, and I enjoy doing the shows. I mean, I wouldn't do this show period if I didn't enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. Love it. I mean, I love being able to get up here and get into this stuff with you guys. And I learn stuff from doing the show. I know that's hard to believe, but I do. I mean, the process of doing the show, I learn from it. But I also know that it's important to get this film out. People wanted this film out for a long time. It's been delayed forever and ever and ever because we just hadn't had, the big amount of resources to get it done with what we did, but it was just spread out over so long, But now I don't know. I'm just torn. I want to get the film done. I want to have it out. And I feel like if I had just, till like the 29th, I didn't do any more shows till then, I could just get it done, get it out. But also I want to get up here and do shows. So I think what I'm going to do is I may try doing it on a small scale, maybe just take a couple of days and work solid on it and see what happens and see if I can work it in during other times. We'll see. But either way, thanks everybody out there, and please support our work if you can. And definitely anything we get in over the next 2 weeks till we get the bills paid for will go a long way towards helping me be able to ensure that I'm able to, have what I need to stay on targets. I plan on fulfilling, living up to having this out by the release date. I mean, if something happens, certainly I can't have the DVDs out. Don't think I can have the release. Don't think that I'm going to be able to have you DVDs in your hand by the 29th. That's not going to happen. But I'm talking about having the film done and all that stuff by then. We'll have the rollout of everything after that. But, anything we get over the next couple of weeks will go a long way towards being able to ensure that. So just bear that in mind. Thanks to everybody out there. All right, let's jam some news in here. We're going to go fast tonight. Want to get through all this. Don't spend a lot of time on a lot of these stories. This is just crazy shit. We could live inside a supermassive black hole eventually, but super aliens may have already beaten us to it, claims Russian cosmologist. Wow. That's a hell of a fucking, yet again, we have another example. We had a lot of these this year. Tend to think we'll probably have a lot of these next year, too. Nazi lesbian hookers abducted by UFOs and forced into weight loss programs. Yet again, that's what these titles of these articles sound like sometimes. Despite being considered the most destructive force in space and absolutely uninhabitable, the conditions for life exist inside supermassive black holes, a Russian cosmologist has theorized. Going out on a scientific limb somewhat, Boris and Natasha, I'm not even going to say this Ruski's name, dude. It's longer than my arm. I'm not going to fuck it up. Rusky Ruskerton has even suggested that if life did exist inside the SBH, it would have evolved to become the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Supermassive black holes, or what are they hinting at here? I mean, all this foreshadowing stuff. You guys heard about this movie? Came out back in September, Melancholia. Kirsten Dunst and Jack Bauer. What's his name? Kiefer Sutherland. Straight up Vulcan stuff, dude. Straight up about Vulcan. Planet, and everybody's going to say, oh, it's about Nibiru. No. Vulcan is the planet that's on the other side of the sun and on the other side of Venus that we can't see. That is documented having effects on the planet Earth. It's even depicted in Sumerian depictions of our solar system that has 2 additional planets. Everybody always points out to the one that says, oh, this is Nibiru. Here's proof. But they never point out to the other extra planet that's in our solar system. And that one, which was directly behind the sun in the Sumerian depictions, is Vulcan. And this new movie coming out called Melancholia, this planet that's coming around from the other side of the sun is coming close to Earth, and all this crazy stuff starts happening. Kirsten Dunst gets powers or some shit. I don't know. But again, it does seem that they're hinting to this stuff. And it's galactic alignment, man. That's the big thing of it. Somebody had sent me an email, and they didn't send it to my regular email. It was on a YouTube thing. I've got it. And it was concerning galactic alignment, and it was asking me if I would talk about that. I will talk about that, and I have talked about that a lot in the past. But I'll find your email, and I'll read it on the next show, sir. If you're listening, don't think that I'm ignoring you. It just came to my mind, so obviously I was paying attention to your email if it just came to my mind. But he had some questions and wanted me to read some stuff about galactic alignment 2012 and the Egyptians and all this stuff. And I've gotten into that before on the show many times through the years. It's been a couple of years. But yeah, look into total photon belt immersion. Let me repeat that. Total photon belt immersion. Total photon belt immersion, 2012, galactic alignment. Look into that whole situation with that. But absolutely, that's the big thing, you know. Always talk about 2012. No mentioning of galactic alignment. No talking about the precession of the equinoxes. I mean, this is the big event. This is really what everybody should be talking about. And, because it doesn't have anything to do with Armageddon and doom and gloom, nobody wants to really talk about that or Vulcan, you know. So super aliens may live inside black holes. Okay. And, monkeys might fly out of my butt, but doesn't really mean it's necessarily true. Who knows? Lordy, let's see. Rise of the Machines. See a pattern here. Rise of the Machines. This is from Wired. Why we keep coming back to H.G. Wells' vision of a dystopian future. Well, the reason we keep coming back to it is because that seems to be some sort of natural progression that we're supposed to either resist or acquiesce to. And it really, that's the reason why it's such a fascinating topic, is because the reality of coming to those crossroads is already here. We already are initiating the point of no return when it comes to technology, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know that, then you're just out of touch. So I'm going to post this article in the chat room because I think it is a good article and should be posted on our website and people should read it. But I can answer that real quick. Do read that article. But again, why we keep coming back to H.G. Wells' vision of the dystopian future is because we are at that crossroads now. The technology has reached the point. I've been saying for years that we were going to probably, from my calculations, reach the singularity by the year 2015. Now, Kurzweil and these other guys say it's, years longer than that off. But not when you look at Moore's Law, and not when you look at all of these technological progressions and how fast the chip rates and the data rates are accelerating. They're moving. Intel's going to be coming out with their Sandy. They're moving from Sandy Bridge over to Ivy Bridge. That's going to be coming out, I think, before the end of the year. Which means by this time next year, the Mac I just got is going to be for the same price. You're going to be able to get something that's going to be about 10 times faster than what I just got, which is super duper fast and the fastest thing I've ever owned. But that's how fast it's exponentiating. Very similar article here. Not really similar, but a few of these technology articles here tonight that are of a similar vein. Give me just a second here to go back through and find them. Living computers could become reality as scientists build tiny components out of bacteria cells. Scientists are one step closer to making a biological computer after building basic components for digital devices out of bacteria and DNA. Here we go. Yeah, all controlled by Caesar 3, right? All controlled by the big massive AI supercomputer controlling all world events, right? So let me guess, the AI computers are now going to get their own biological entities to exist in, right? And they're going to declare themselves our technological kings and enslave us. Well, the Matrix is here, isn't it? Some scientists believe that in the future, small biological computers could roam our bodies. Great! Just what we need. And monitoring our health and correcting any problems they find. Man, this stuff, this is one of the most controversial topics. And it is one that I plan to address with a film in the near future. That's another one of the ones I have on my list is a film on transhumanism. And I tell you what, it's a very controversial topic because it's just like eugenics, or not eugenics, but overpopulation. Because everybody in the world knows that overpopulation is a real thing. But then the reality of how you fix that, nobody wants to talk about because none of the answers and none of the solutions sound very pleasant. It's the same thing with transhumanism, emerging with machines and having machines in our bodies and all this stuff. It's a thing where, on the one hand, you absolutely don't want to have it, but then on the other hand, you see, where there are benefits. But I just see this stuff as a trap. I see it as a trap, a technological trap that's been created by the priest class, custodians. I think it's a way for them to further entrap our souls, our life force, our energy, so that they can use them for their own purposes, to keep us regenerating and incarnating into bodies and material life forms that they want, that they can use, they can keep in control and rule over, because the only thing they can rule over is the material realm. They can't rule over the other spiritual realms. Storming the gates of heaven with technology, all that kind of thing. That's my big fear of all this. Because there is a lot to support that. That's my biggest reason I stand against this. But interesting stuff there. Just all kinds of crazy technology stuff tonight. Does the future hold avatar-like bodies for us? This is from, I mean, this is insane, man. This is straight up, I mean, this is mainstream news, MSNBC here. Dreams of immortality inspired by the fantastical tales of Greek historian Herodotus and Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon's legendary search for the fountain of youth. Nowadays, visionaries push for the technologies to transplant human brains into new bodies and download human consciousness into hologram-like avatars. The latest science and schemes for achieving long life and the singularity moment of smarter-than-human intelligence came together at the Singularity Summit, held here on October 15th and 16th. Some researchers explored cutting-edge, serious work about regenerating human body parts. Yeah, but God, this is the reason they want all this. The reason they want all this transhumanist stuff, all this, machines in your body and regenerating human body parts. I mean, yeah, we can all say, oh, man, it'd be great for us. Yeah, man, it'd be great for society. But you understand that we don't, if we lived in a perfect world, it would be great. But in the existing world that we live in, this is only going to be used, ladies and gentlemen, for our enslavement and to further the grip of the medical industrial complex. Because who do you think is going to get this technology? The medical industry. I mean, this is all explained by Zbigniew Brzezinski in his book, The Rise of the Technotronic Era Between Two Ages. You have to read that book if you've never read that book. It's a fucking terrible read. I mean, I'll read it for you here on the air if you want to. I've read some of it on air before. It's just a terrible read, man. I mean, it just lays it all out. The haves and the have-nots, the technological have and have-nots. He said in the 21st century that it wouldn't be like the 20th century where people would want to, get jobs and climb the corporate ladder so they could, have a nice house and all this stuff. That in the future that people would want to do those things in order to be able to afford technologies such as medical technologies, entertainment technologies, whatever that would enhance their lives. And it would create a new haves and a have-nots. Or the people that had, neo-feudalism. That's what it's a technological feudalism. I don't know if anybody's ever used the word technological feudalism before, but I'm going to use it here. If nobody's ever used that term, I want to use it right now. That's what it is. It's technological feudalism. They're creating the haves and the have-nots for the people that have money and play the system, play the game. They'll have the money to be able to afford the augmentations. They'll have the money to be able to afford. I mean, it's just to sound the same way on the same scale now as how, poor people can't afford to have, to get breast implants, but a rich girl can, or one that bangs, an oil baron or whatever, but, or a football player, basketball player, what have you. But, this stuff is just going to find its hands right into the power structure, and they're going to figure out a new way to sell it to you. Like that movie Repo Men. That's why that movie scared the shit out of me, because that's really what I see it moving towards. Other speakers push the visions of extending human existence in avatar-style bodies. One initiative previously backed by action film star Steven Seagal, with fuzzier ideas about how to create such a world. So these, they're having their, they're talking about this, openly talking about this. I mean, it's here. DARPA wants to master the science of propaganda. That's great news. That's what you want to hear waking up in the morning right there, isn't it? DARPA wants to master the science of propaganda. Great. Well, here you go. There's your technological enslavement right there. Mark Twain once tried to distinguish between the storyteller's art and the tales that a machine could generate. He observed that stringing incongruities and absurdities together in a wandering and sometimes purposeless way and seem innocently unaware that they are absurdities was the province of the American storyteller. A machine might imitate simple formulas behind yarns, but never quite master them. The Pentagon's freewheeling research arm is hoping to prove Twain wrong. DARPA is asking scientists to take narratives and make them quantitatively analyzable in a rigorous, transparent, and repeatable fashion. The idea is to detect terrorists who have been indoctrinated by propaganda. Then the Pentagon can respond with some messages of its own. The program is called Narrative Networks. We've talked about this before, them building the narratives, trying to control what that narrative is. By understanding how stories have shaped your mind, the Pentagon hopes to sniff out who has fallen prey to dangerous ideas. Oh, and so anything they deem a dangerous idea, they're going to have an algorithm now. And so they'll analyze your brain based on the things that you type online or the videos that you make and post on YouTube. And they according to the algorithm, they can put in whatever variables they want, meaning, anybody that questions anything that the government of the world or any government of the world says is automatically considered a terrorist based on our algorithm, which is exactly what it's saying in this article. Let me post a link to it in the chat real quick so you can read this and verify for yourself that I am indeed telling you the truth here. That's exactly what's going on here. And that the Pentagon hopes to sniff out who has fallen prey to dangerous ideas. A neuroscience researcher involved in this project tells Danger Room, with its knowledge that the military can also target groups vulnerable to terrorist recruiting tactics with its own counter message. Story important. We read that already. Stories are important in security context, DARPA said on October 7th, solicitation for research proposals. And they change the course of insurgencies, frame negotiations, and play a role in political radicalization. Once scientists have perfected the science, that's a mouthful. Once scientists have perfected the science of how stories affect our neurochemistry, they will develop tools to detect narrative influence. These tools will enable prevention of negative behavioral outcomes and generation of positive behavioral outcomes, such as building trust. In other words, the tools will be used to detect who has been controlled by subversive ideologies, better allowing the military to drown out that message and win people on their side. So, again, they're figuring out how to unprogram belief systems and reprogram those belief systems with what they want. Now, I believe they've been doing this for quite some time, but again, it's the admission of it that's important. Because once they admit to something that they've probably been doing for many, many years, that means they're already done it and moved on to something that's even more terrifying and more terrible than this. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Just 1 second. Fairer than Facebook, new social site pays you money for your best posts. Facebook earns its 1.1 billion euros a year in advertising revenue by posting adverts at the side of users' pages. So if you're a prolific Facebook poster whose every post is buried in likes and comments, you're effectively providing free entertainment while Mark Zuckerberg, multi-billion-dollar company, pockets the profits. A new startup, Chime In, aims to take what it sees as a fairer approach. It's supposed to be fairer approach, not fairer. I don't know why they have an extra I there. Half of the revenue of the adverts which appear on someone's Chime In page will be split with the person in question. And if users sell the space direct to companies, they can keep all of the money. The arrangement is unique for social networking and is firing a shot across the industry. Yeah, of course it is. People figure out that they can make money off their pages instead of giving all that money to ad revenue for Zuckerberg. I mean, yeah, hell yeah, they're going to go that route. Well, it's good to see that somebody's trying to fuck up these greed mongers. Son of Stuxnet, a new computer virus using nearly identical parts of the cyber weapon Stuxnet, has been detected on computer systems in Europe and is believed to be a precursor to a new Stuxnet-like attack A major U.S. cybersecurity company said today, yeah, well, I'm sure they did say that. I'm sure they did have this information, considering we know that these antivirus companies write these cyber attack super weapons, as they call them now. Now, I used to call them viruses. Now they're cyber attack super weapons. Anytime they start changing terms around, there's an operation going on. Just like when, oh no, we can't call the Katrina people, we can't call them refugees. We have to call them evacuees. Stuxnet was a highly sophisticated computer worm that was discovered last year and was thought to have successfully targeted and disrupted systems at a nuclear enrichment plant in Iran. At the time, U.S. officials said the worm's unprecedented complexity and potential ability to physically sabotage industrial control systems, which run everything from water plants to the power grid in the U.S., and in many countries around the world, marked a new era in cyber warfare. Though no group claimed responsibility for the Stuxnet worm, several cybersecurity experts have said it is likely a nation-state created it, and that the U.S. and Israel were on a short list of possible culprits. And they're calling this thing Dooku, like Count Dooku from Star Wars. I mean, what the fuck? Call Mace Windu. Strike me down with all of your anger. Take your father's place beside me. Fuck, Count Dooku up in the hizzy. Oh, you guys hear about this? This is the big controversy today. Susan Sarandon says that Pope Benedict is a Nazi. And, I would never back up Susan Sarandon. She's a commie, but you know what? She's right in this case. How do we know she's right? Because there's goddamn pictures of it. He's Sieg Heiling and fucking wearing the Nazi shit. Give me a break. Jesuits in with the Nazis. Knights of Malta in with the Nazis. All these guys. All in with the Catholic Church. All in with the priest class. And now everybody's all over Susan Sarandon making a big deal out of it just because you happen to point out something for once that was true. I mean, there are pictures. There are photographic evidence. I would understand, it's people are trying to compare that to what Hank Jr. said. It's not even the same issue. Hank Jr. compared somebody to something and said that he didn't even compare something. He said, well, it would be like, he made a hypothetical question. He basically said, oh, it would be like this. It would be like Netanyahu playing golf with, this person over here. But Susan Sarandon said he's a Nazi, and there's pictures of him. So I don't know how that's the same situation. I mean, one has proof, one doesn't. You know what I mean? This is good news. This is good news, though. I mean, I don't know. A lot of you may not see this as good news. I think this is great news. I think it gives me a little bit of hope in people right here. Most Americans uncertain. This is a Gallup poll from Gallup.com. Most Americans uncertain about Occupy Wall Street goals. Well, because no, they haven't made any goals. All this is a way that they can, by design, bring in their new Ponzi scheme and the new game. That's all this is. They're going to make everybody think that they had an effect, make everybody think that they caused this, that they changed this. That way, the people believe. You understand that historically, again, I was talking about historical precedents earlier in the show. You understand that historically, oftentimes when you get out one regime, you get out one game and one system of doing things that's bad, oftentimes it gets replaced by something that's even worse than that. And most of these people from the Occupy Wall Street thing aren't aware of that. Let me give you a little hint, all you Occupy Wall Street people. This is the honest to God truth. You're being led to believe that you are taking part in a revolution that is by the people, for the people, of the people. But what you are doing is being the unwitting pawn in bringing in the new system of money, a new system of government, new system of credit, everything across the board. That's going to give the rich more money, more power. It's going to give more regular people serfdom and enslavement and less rights and less freedoms and less money to live with and live on. And they're going to then when they do that and they bring in the new system and they get rid of the old Ponzi scheme and bring in a new one, which will be the same as what they've got now. It'll just have a different name and a different face. When they get ready to blow it out like some dummy corporation in the Bahamas, they're going to turn back around and say, well, this is what the people wanted. Everybody was occupying Wall Street, and they said they wanted to change in the game. They wanted to change Wall Street, the way Wall Street does business, the way all this stuff operates. Well, we gave it to them. It's not our fault that it ended up being a model for enslavement, and everybody got enslaved, was worse off than they were before. That's not our fault. People chose this. This is what you wanted. Remember Occupy Wall Street? Remember all that? Yep. This is what you wanted. That's what this is. They are getting us to believe that we are fighting their system to bring in a system that's for the people, when in reality, we are being, not we, I'm not a part of that Occupy Wall Street. I just mean we in general as people. The Occupy Wall Street people are being led to believe that they're bringing about change when in fact they are going to be the harbingers of bringing in the new system, and the blame game will be assigned to them. Oh, we did this because this is what the people wanted. No, they've had this new system. That's what everything going on in Europe and the collapse and Greece and the EU and all of this stuff. That's what it's about. It's about bringing in a new currency, which will then allow things like the destruction of OPEC and allow OPEC oil to be traded in currencies other than dollars. This is the equilibrium across the board. So that the people in the world that do have power gain more power and maintain that power indefinitely. They've already had this ready and waiting in the wings. Obama's how they brought it in the U.S., and they're bringing it everywhere else through all this phony revolution and everything else, and they're going to assign all the blame to the people that are claiming they want to change the system. But less than half of Americans express an opinion about either Occupy Wall Street's movements, goals, or the way it has conducted its protests. Those with an opinion are more likely to approve than disapprove. Do you approve or disapprove of the goals of the Occupy Wall Street movement, or don't you know enough to say? Do you approve or disapprove of the way the Occupy Wall Street movement protests are being conducted, and don't you know enough to say? 22% approve of the movement's goals, 15% disapprove, 63% don't know what to say. They don't really know if they agree or disagree because nobody's really being clear on what they're trying to accomplish. Great, let's go camp out and have sex in parks and take drugs and, scream revolution. But, nobody's really getting anything done. Nothing's happening. The system's going on and has been going on unimpeded, hasn't it? All this is by design, and they're doing this so they can have an excuse to have a back door to bring in their new global monetary system. That's what this is about. Period. Point blank. End of story. Do you agree with the way the protests are being conducted? 25% approve, 20% disapprove, 50%, 55% don't know what to say. They're not really being, everybody's just, Wall Street's bad. Yeah, we know it's bad. What are you going to put in its place? What do you want to replace it with? What's your solution? They don't have one. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Let me get a drink. Contractors pitch spy tech to cops. So now the contractors are just forgoing getting government contracts and state contracts. They're just going straight to law enforcement itself and selling individual law enforcement entities their new next generation technology that's being used in Iraq and Afghanistan and Yemen and all these places. It is known as IBISS. What, the IBIS? That's fucking fitting, isn't it? The acronym for the Integrated Building Interior Surveillance System. Like its name suggests, it can see through the walls of buildings and sketch out images of what's inside. Until this year, IBIS was a classified system, a piece of high-tech wizardry the military used to fight the war on terrorism. The contractor that made the system, Science Applications International Corporation, couldn't talk about it in public, but that's changing. IBIS is one of the new products that SAIC is hoping to sell local people, local police stations and fire departments as the defense contractor explores what is known in the industry as adjacent markets. Adjacent markets can mean anything from foreign militaries to the Department of Homeland Security for the industry that makes the computer systems, software, remote sensors, radar, and ground stations that comprise intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR, for the industry. And for the military. For the first time in a decade of the war on terrorism, the ISR industry thrived, and for companies like SAIC, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin made big profits. Those days are coming to an end, though. On Monday at the annual industry trade conference known as GR-10, James Clapper, the director of national intelligence, broke the news to the assembled contractors. We're all going to have to share in the pain, Clapper said, as his office admitted billions of dollars in cuts to the Office of Management and Budget over the next 10 years. The overall annual intelligence budget is about $80 billion annually. Most of the details of the budget, however, are secret. So they're just going to get their funding cut, and so they're saying, well, they're cutting our funding for this, for surveillance and reconnaissance and ISR, all this stuff. So since they're cutting our funding over the next 10 years, what we need to do is get this equipment into the hands of local law enforcement. That way we can still snoop on everybody and have a total police state. Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm glad to know they're always looking out for the best way to just completely fuck us in the ass at every turn, aren't you? So glad for that. It may look like something out of a Harry Potter book of spells and charms, but this mystical fizzing object is actually a magnet that's been super cooled in liquid nitrogen and then locked in space. A student from Tel Aviv University's superconductivity group and physics and astronomy showed off the effects of quantum locking or quantum trapping during the Association of Science's annual conference in Maryland. The student demonstrated how the frozen magnet hovered wherever he put it within the magnetic field, even when turned upside down. It even spun around on a track in the same position and did the same where the student turned the track upside down. The technique has been demonstrated before, but this video shows how the position and angle of the magnet can be locked within the field that it's moving in. Yeah, that's anti-grav technology. That's one of the biggest secrets of the elite. In my opinion, it comes from alien technology, and that's what it is. It's the harnessing of magnets and magnetic fields to create anti-gravity fields that cause anything that has mass to be able to levitate and also to travel at a high rate of speed. Using magnets and magnetic field, absolutely. Interesting stuff there. Let's see what else we've got here tonight. Oh, this is just great. Look at this. This is the wave of the future. This looks like something out of some, virtual reality stuff back in the 90s that we saw. This is on a whole nother level now. An HD 3D TV from Sony that you wear on your head. I mean, we are already reaching that surrogates level, aren't we? Everybody's just going to be walking. I mean, fuck the iPod, fuck the iPad. People are going to be walking around with high-def 3D TV strapped to their fucking head. Boy, that's going to be a great fun world to live in right there. Assholes driving in school zones with fucking 3D HDVs on their head. Get out of the fucking way, cocksucker. Get off your goddamn phone. I mean, 3D HD headset. Christ. I mean, it looks like you're walking around looking like Gordy LaForge from the fucking Next Generation cast or something. When Sony unveiled its new HMZ T1 3D viewer, a headset with built-in OLED 3D screens at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas this January, tech insiders were not convinced by the white plastic prototype. It'll never go on sale, was the general thought. Concept, sneered others. Sony has proved the doubters wrong. Not only is the headset real, but it's on sale today for for 800 pounds. So what's that, about 1,600 US? The screen technology inside OLED is widely used in phones, but despite Sony championing the ultra-fast moving TV technology, it's still far too pricey for the large sets at a normal price. Yeah, I mean, fuck. a fucking 82-inch TV for about half that money. Christ. Makes no sense. But yeah, interesting stuff there. The furthering of the technological enslavement. Here's a video my sister Jamie pointed out to me on YouTube. 9,000-year-old Caucasian mummy found in Nevada. This seems like it's an old report, but I'd never heard of this. Apparently, some time ago, they found in a spirit cave in Nevada. They found a mummy 3 times older than King Tut that was Caucasian and was over 9,000 years old. Well, that punches a lot of holes in the whole Earth is 10,000 year idea, doesn't it? There, Christians. Oh, 1,200 at the current exchange rate. Okay, well, that's still make it 200, and then we'll talk. It'll be 200. The way technology's going, that yeah, it's 1,200 now. 2 or 3 years, they'll have something better. It'll be it'll be even cheaper. Oh, this is great. You guys will love this. Egypt's top Facebook revolutionary now advising Occupy Wall Street. This guy that's been proven to be he was there on the street antagonizing everything in Egypt. Now he's here advising the Occupy Wall Street. This guy is a total fucking Mossad agent, and now he's fully involved. I mean, now I saw we had another news story that said that the commies and the Nazis have now showed up to the Occupy Wall Street event and are now endorsing. We got commies and Nazis. The Nazi party showed up and the commies showed up, and they're saying, "Oh, it's great, yeah, commies and Nazis, dogs and cats living together." Unfucking believable stuff. Man, oh man, oh man. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Mystery condition makes woman age 50 years in just a few days. It's unbelievable. I mean, this woman's like 26, and now she looks like she's like 80 something due to some disease. I mean, stuff like this is just not naturally occurring. They want us to believe that stuff like this are naturally occurring in cancers and viruses and all this stuff. I mean, most of this stuff is man-made, folks. Saw something where they pulled a one-eyed shark out of some shark's womb or something, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, look at this. It's a one-eyed shark. Nothing unusual about this." Yeah, the fact that we're pouring all this radiation into the fucking oceans from Fukushima in Japan, all the Corexit and all that oil from the Gulf Coast, and one-eyed sharks, that just cyclops sharks, that just happens. And people are wondering why they see, Yetis and chupacabras and all this cryptozoological shit, and never once for a minute think that there may be freak of nature creatures out there, and I think there most definitely are, that have come as a result of human waste and poisoning and all this stuff that we've done. You'd be a damn fool. Just the law of averages would deem that would be the case. But I think that really is. I really think that's the explanation. All these cryptozoological stuff that people see, Yetis and chupacabras and skunk apes and all this shit. I think all of this has come as a result of stuff that we've been doing: genetic tinkering, toxic waste, biochemicals, all of this stuff. And we have no idea. We have no precedence, no way of knowing what this stuff can do out in Mother Nature and the effects that it can have on all existing life and creating chimeras and hybrids and all this other stuff. They do that stuff in the lab. I mean, they've seen all these things that they've claimed were chupacabras. They're not chupacabras. They're some kind of like kangaroo, coyote, weird thing. There's been a bunch of them here in Texas around where Texas A&M is. Texas A&M University is. Texas A&M University is the biggest biggest school that recruits the CIA recruits from. They also have a big biological center there where they do all sorts of genetic engineering, genetic crossbreeding, all kinds of stuff. you'd be hard pressed to think that some of this stuff hadn't escaped out in the public. I think it's what it is. But they never want to admit that these things are real or admit that they, because then it has to admit to the whole thing. You have to admit to the fact that they're engineering viruses, that they're engineering humans and people. And you ever seen that movie Baraka? It's all shot just like images. Baraka, it's got a very interesting part in there where it shows chickens and how they're mass producing chickens, farming chickens for food and all this stuff. And it shows the process they go through. And then it cuts and it shows, people working in factories and sweatshops. It shows humans. It shows how, our food is mass produced, but not only is our food mass produced, humans are mass produced for labor and all that. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to be able to deny that. It's absolutely true. And, all of these things, I think that probably everybody on the face of the planet right now, the state of things might be a little more understanding of the situations in our world if we knew what they were going for. And if this was to create a better society or a better world for the people of the future, then nobody in the world would have a problem working in these slave labor jobs. But the fact of the matter is, this is all going towards the enslavers and not to benefit all the people of the world. So you can occupy whatever you want, but until you figure out the answer to that question, we're never going to get anywhere as a species or a people. That's all. That's really all there is to it. That's going to do it for our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us here. My website, where this broadcast originates from, is www.theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. Chip and banner donate button is there if you want to support our work and help us out. And we appreciate everybody out there continuing to support our work and tune in.